Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome to our latest webcast that we're bringing you from Travel Weekly as part of our Roadmap to Recovery series. And you'll recognise the gentleman that's with me today. It is, of course, Alistair Rowland, who is the Chief Executive at Blue Bay Travel. And of course, he's not been in that job for very long. Alistair, you took the helm at Blue Bay about 3 months ago now, right in the middle of the pandemic and the crisis that we're all in. And some might say that would be a very difficult time to sort of take on a new job. So how's it been? How's it been starting out in a new company?
Yeah, hi Lucy. Do you know what? It's been great, cautiously great, I would say. You know, clearly times are difficult for everybody. Everybody's got to find their way through keeping enough cash to get through the winter into transacting more strongly in 2021. And of course, you know, leaving CoOp Travel at the time where they've got a whole load of pain, as any big travel group has, was very difficult. But I'm still supporting them in my own way and working very strongly with them now as a supplier to them, actually. So 3 months in, just into my 4th month, and it's going very well.
All right. Now I know that well, you mentioned it. There's been a lot of pain for the industry, but we're hearing reports that things are picking up a little bit. And I think you'd had some quite good results certainly in November. You had a good month. Do you want to just talk to us about what if you're starting to see some green shoots and what that's for particularly?
Yeah. So I think, the product areas Blue Bay was known for aren't selling great, and that's Mexico and Caribbean. So even though Blue Bay is all about exclusive deals that are unbeatable in the market, actually right now it wouldn't matter what kind of pricing you pushed out in those destinations. And what we've had to do is extend ourselves to other destinations. So Indian Ocean is where it is. Maldives, Mauritius, best-selling destinations. And actually, very recently, summer 21 has come back into vogue as people get more confident. But going into October, November, it was largely selling outside of date range up to the end of 22.
Okay, all right. And so, and people are booking. Are they spending? Are they looking for deals? What's driving the market at the moment, or is it just that they're desperate to get out and they'll spend any money at all because they just want to get away in, as you say, summer 2021?
I think what's worked here, as well as speed to market, so you've got to be very quick in terms of what you promote and when and how. So social marketing is the most profitable channel and the quickest channel to market. But what people wanted through October and November is something very significant to look forward to. So what we believe is that a normal standard holiday that people will go on generally is not what's selling well. But when you put in front of them, an overwater villa with a plane transfer, in Maldives for summer 22, with a kind of rate hold into 22, so you can push a deal out from, I think the cheapest we had an overwater villa deal, all inclusive, was $13.99. So if you have exceptional value with a load of upgrades, that means your consumer can book for a fairly sensible level of deposit, so they've got something to look forward to. That's what they're buying, and they're buying that in significant numbers.
You mentioned speed. What that's important then, because it's not because other people have got the same deals as you and you need to get out first, is it? Because you pride yourself on having these exclusive deals. So why is the speed thing so important?
Because you've got to link your hotel contracts to how you get them there. So an example of part of our success in November, and our November bookings doubled our October bookings in terms of number. So Virgin came out with a business class and first class sale, and many people took those as airfares and promoted them as airfares. We repackaged those and we pushed those out to our customer base directly through social marketing and also through the CoOp channel, whereas we're a supplier to the CoOp, within 2.5 hours of that sale being launched. So because seats are at a premium, of course, business class and first class seats, pushing those offers in front of the right consumer within 24 hours was really important. Otherwise, the seats would have gone, and we were very successful on that campaign.
Okay. Now, you've mentioned your deal with your relationship with the co-op, and now you had a relationship, didn't you, originally? Before you joined, you were already, you're part of the the consortium, etc. But how has that relationship developed then in the 3 months that you've been there, and what are you doing with them now?
I think it was a big education piece. So if you're a consortium member with a specific specialism, you can sell within the Atoll group. So you can sell, if Co-op want you to, effectively as an internal supplier. That's governed and allowed. Blue Bay have sold their product to Co-op for a number of years, probably 5 years, but it's never really created a huge amount of traction. What we've done is created that traction. So, on our private Facebook group, we have 860 agents who effectively are members of that group, and it's a closed group. So all our communications, all of our social assets, all of our offers are pushed out through that. And a number of practical things as well. So if we've got a new deal with a hotel, actually we give it to Co-op before we even give it to ourselves. So Co-op get a first mover advantage on our contracts before we even send those deals to our own customer base. And over the last 3 months, we've gained significant traction. We've been one of the largest suppliers to Co-op Travel in its widest form for the last 3 months, Lucy. So very significant indeed, against a notional number of sales beforehand. So it's become a great route, good for us, good for them, exclusive products, all the marketing done, so they can push out the offers straight out through the social channels. And it means that in database terms, it probably gets out to a database maybe 10 times our size, because it's going out to the database of all the membership.
Of 800 odd travel agents. Absolutely. So does that mean then that you can't do a similar deal with other retailers if you're tied in giving these exclusives to the Co-op?
We can't sell packages outside of the Atoll group, and I don't really think I want to either, to be honest, because what we've got within the group is actually very powerful. What we will be able to do, and part of our plan going forward, is to promote our product on an accommodation only basis. We have our own ABTA number to do that, but it won't be repackaged in a way the consumer likes it. It will just be the contract. So it will likely create less traction, but it is a way to get the product to a wider source. But for now, Lucy, the Co-op relationship's very powerful, and in the end, I think in our growth plans, we want that to be a third of our overall volume.
Okay, so that's a partnership for the long term, and no one else will get quite that sort of that deal, that relationship. Okay. One thing I just wanted to ask, because you say it's got great traction, but obviously you're a long haul sort of, and a lot of it's kind of premium product, isn't it, what you're selling? And yet we hear all the trends that we're hearing is that people aren't going to want to travel so far afield, and they're going to want to stay closer to home, and they're anticipating Europe will be strong, and yet you're talking about the Indian Ocean, etc. So are you just bucking that trend, or what's happening there?
Yeah, I think so. I think through September and October, lots of people wanted something significant, but likely wanted it for 22. So that you've got to create packages together which are out of date range. Actually, as people started to hear about vaccine, shortened quarantine, test and release, these kinds of things, summer 21 has become a bigger part of the share.
Yeah.
But actually, I think long haul is going to become more significant, and probably as Brexit plays out, however it will or won't play out, it does mean that it's slightly protected from those debates. And I think so many people have wanted to go to Spain or Canaries, and then not, and then they can go, and then they've got to cancel. All of the issues around insurance and protection, that actually the long haul sector, if you can get the right value and put the right value in front of the right consumer, it's very powerful, really powerful.
Yeah. And as you say, as the vaccine rolls out, those nerves about travelling too far afield, or that we were picking up in initial sets of consumer research, those fears, I guess, will be allayed. So when the news of the vaccine and things that you mentioned, did that give you another spike in demand as well?
Yes, and I expect that even though largely the US vaccine from Pfizer is more optics, there's only 400,000 people in the initial run that are going to get vaccinated. I think the big news, Lucy, will be the Oxford vaccine. So when there is real news of 100 million vaccines in the US, in the UK,
Yeah.
playing out over a 6-month period that can be stored in a normal fridge and all of that will be more significant again. So I think there's a reason why that's been held back. I'm sure it will get approved, and that will have the bounce in the industry generally that everybody's really waiting for, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we talk about a bounce, but one of your guys did very, very well, didn't they? I mean, I want to move on to the future, but before we move on, didn't you have one agent that did a fantastic amount of business just within a month?
Yeah, so we have a number of home-based agents, some of them that are extensions to the call centre on a self-employed basis. And one of those agents in our kind of spectacular November performance transacted 1 million. So 1 million in revenue, which, and of course, in a month, she transacted, she didn't have a lot of time off. She did a lot of days and a lot of nights. She picked up B2B, so the co-op sales through the Facebook channel and offline, and has built a lot of really powerful relationships. But yeah, an incredible volume. So good for her. Earned a year's salary in a month.
It's a really good news story, and it's nice to hear things like that, because I know a lot of people have been really struggling. So it's nice that there's some real positivity out there. Just before we move on to talk about how you see 2021, for the industry and also your own business, how affected were you as a business in terms of staffing? And I mean, did you have to use the furlough scheme? Did you have to lose anybody? What size are you now going forward to the new year?
Bluebay's always operated very tightly. It transacts about 35% of its business online. It did furlough a number of people from the March lockdown, but from the point of the first release from lockdown, everybody came back. We've made no redundancies at all. We've actually used overtime in November because we've needed to, and it's flattened in December. This is not, would be great if we'd have held those kind of numbers. November was the 4th biggest month ever in Bluebay's almost 20-year history, and that just shows the kind of volume that got transacted, which was great for everybody. So actually, what we're finding now is we're recruiting into sales, we're recruiting our new home worker model, but more than that, we're recruiting into our customer support function as well, and development function, and that's because all this stuff that we've booked that's going to go in the future, we need to service as well as we're selling it. So the core number is about 100 heads here, and within the first 2 years of our plan, we plan to double that number, and we've got the office space to be able to do that.
When you talk about serving those or servicing those bookings, some of which will be out to 2022, as you say, because there's a lot of people looking ahead. What do you do in that between booking and somebody traveling? Then is it just a regular contact? I mean, obviously you're collecting balances and stuff, but what do you mean by that?
Well, you've got to be cautious and careful about hedging strategies. You've got to be always available on booking in out-of-date range flying and the strategies around out-of-date range flying. You've got an amendment rate that runs generally at about 15% perhaps, and I think it will probably be double that through 21 and 22.
Yeah.
Probably some of that forced and some of that because consumers will change their mind. But
yeah, of course.
It's tough stuff, because when people are paying an average of £2,000 a head, they want to be serviced well, and we, like everybody else, couldn't achieve that through handling 10,000 cancellations and amendments and such like. So it's okay pushing it into the top of the funnel, Lucy, and selling a load of stuff, but actually you've got to be able to service it well. So I'm really focusing on making sure the back of house service is as good as we are selling it at the front.
So really acting like a very sort of small luxury tour operator, but actually on a fairly big scale, and you're talking about doubling the size of it. So
yes, I think in lots of areas, this is fundamentally an online travel business that transacts online. It also transacts now as a significant B2B tour operator to our to the CoOp family, and that's becoming very powerful too. If we become an accommodation only supplier, that will need servicing. We'll need to do credit control on agents and those kind of things, and we're building up a home worker business as well, as many large businesses have, and they'll be able to service their own clients in their own way, selling whatever they want, and also those agents can fulfill our leads that come through our key website. So that will be that will take some administering as well as we get into that.
Well, you've brought us on nicely, really, to the future, Alistair, because you have now got quite a few significant strings to your bow. I'm looking behind you on your windowsill. You've got Global Award, AAA's Award, but I don't know what category we're going to put you into, because you're going to be an accommodation only, home working business, tour operator on OTA. So what are you able to grow those all equally at the same sort of pace, or what's the focus, or what would be your priority, let's say, for the first 6 months, and then the 12 months of 2021?
We want to cautiously grow. So our plan is to double our volume by the end of 2023. We think we'll be about 15% ahead of 2019 by the end of 2021. Ignoring 2020, and I think everything's in the right place, just about where the volume is coming from. So Blue-based core business as an OTA transacting through Caribbean Warehouse and Tropical Warehouse and Exclusivity, so 3 websites. That business will recover to its 2019 level. Then we operate as the internal tour operator. Then we've got our accommodation only business and the growth of our home working business. And I think they all will grow at different rates, but that should lead to, or at least it's planned to lead to a doubling of volume over that period of time.
All right. And will you stick? I mean, I know you say that Mexico and the Caribbean will come back. It's maybe not flavour of the month at the minute. You've got the Maldives, but will you look elsewhere? Will you try and grow the business into other destinations?
Yeah, I think we're looking at Thailand. We think that's going to be very significant for 21. Bali we're moving into, but the big area we need to move into, including UAE, is to get into Twin Centre. So there's going to be some tech that sits behind there that will allow that, but complex Twin Centre itineraries where you're actually pushing out the whole offer and all of the added value into a specific offer for a specific price or a specific lead-in price, and those itineraries should be available in the first quarter of 21, and that really is quite game-changing because it does push us into a very different place.
Okay, and would that include cruise and stay as well, or are you just talking about 2 land Twin Centre places?
No, cruises on our roadmap as well. We're the lead and solus supplier for U by Uniworld, which is a US-based type of river cruise for the kind of over 40s. So river cruise for people who go on a Virgin holiday, or even the Blue Bay core customer base. We put the first itineraries out directly 2 weeks ago. That's actually selling very well. but that's a lead into the cruise market. So cruise and stay will be a very significant part of that, Lucy. Yes, it will.
You're not going to tell us anymore. I can, but certainly, to go back to your point about Twin Centre, that's first quarter of next year. Cruise might ramp up maybe towards the end of next year, or we got to wait till 2022.
Yeah, what we don't want to do is start putting out a lot of cruise itineraries until we absolutely know that the cruises are going. So I think mainstream cruise, buying cabin only, linking it to air and hotel and tour and added value, we need to be pretty sure. So yeah, probably for second half of next year.
Okay. And I mean, I must just ask you, because you've been in this job previously at mid-counties where you did travel, obviously, but you had all these other departments and sectors. And I know when we talked, you just said you want to get back to core travel. And it sounds like you really have, and then some, because you're doing a bit of everything. I mean, for example, the home working business. I mean, how many people have you got as home workers, and how big could that get to?
Yeah, well, I think we need home workers for two reasons, really. I think it's a business stream that can operate. I think we can offer something unique to self-employed home workers, where they can do their own business with their own commission split as normal, but also fulfill our leads as well. I think that's fairly unique in the market. But when I talk about scale there, I'm talking about 50 over a 3-year period, not 500, but they need to be 50, really prominent, significant agents who've got, good legacy, good history, knowledge, strong database, and working in partnership with them can become really powerful. But on the more general point, Lucy, you're entirely right. I had my head full in the past of healthcare and funeral and childcare and telecoms and all sorts of stuff, where just to be able to focus on what is already a brilliant business, and Blue Bay has always been that, with really supportive investors. Actually, it's a great place to be, because strategically we can go into a number of directions, but it's all organic. We can grow these things from our base here. We can do it at our own pace.
But is it all organic? Because when we spoke before, you said you may even look at acquisitions. You mentioned there your supportive investors. You have got money behind you should you want to grow quicker, I guess.
We have, and lots of people talk to us about Destinology that's ended up in good hands, and very pleased to see that it did. Actually, I think there's other ways to acquire skill sets. So we may acquire skill sets within cruise, for example. We may acquire skill sets in home working, but we don't need to do that.
You mean by acquiring people with the skills, as opposed to taking over an existing business?
Well, it could be either. It could be significant people, or people with smaller businesses that just need more support, more financial support to be able to grow quicker.
Right. Yeah.
Got to fit, though. The type of business has to fit the operation. We don't want to create a position where we have management stretch that stops us on our current plan. We're only 3 months into this plan, and it's moving really quickly. So we don't want anything to affect what we're doing.
And just, I mean, I know you're sitting there talking to us today, Alistair, from your Blue Bay offices. Do you anticipate everybody coming back to work and working from an office, or how do you think things will work going forward? I know you've got your home-based agents anyway, but do you think things will change in the way that we as businesses operate going forward?
Well, the cost of accommodation in the north isn't the same issue as it is in the south. So here we've got 4 buildings all knocked together, and we've got accommodation to fit certainly 200 people, probably more. I think those functions that are comfortable being remote operate remotely. So the development team operate remotely, for example. We're on a voluntary return to office right now. We're very cautious about that. We've got health and safety sign off, where we've got all the normal COVID procedures covered. But many people want to be with people, and
Yeah,
that's
I'm
definitely
one
the
of those.
case. Yeah. You know, certainly sales, the sales team leaders, customer support, finance. You know, those operations that work better in an office environment, we're providing an office environment for them. But we're not forcing anybody to come back. Our next review is early January. We've got about a third of the people operating out of the office.
Oh, well, that sounds very sensible. I really do need to get out of this bedroom. I think people have seen me in this for 9 months now. All right. Well, look, I'm conscious of your time, Alistair. Is there anything else that you're, in terms of trends or things that you're looking at for next year, things that you are thinking you might give that a go, or plans that you've got up your sleeve for 2021?
I think we're going to carry on our strategy. We're very excited about Peaks. We're ready for a significant investment into Peaks. We think that's going to be pretty successful for 21 and for 22. But it's no diversion from the strategy. You know what Blue Bay does is about its product, and the product's got to be there to drive the fulfillment from the product. So it starts.
So when you talk about an investment in Peaks, is that in marketing your products to people, or where's the investment for you?
Yeah, I many travel businesses, and I've been guilty of this in the past, tend to be driven by third-party operators offering marketing funds to support marketing for the likes of a Peaks campaign. And of course, that's more difficult this year because less third parties are inclined to put up marketing to support Peaks campaigns. So our Peaks campaign this year is all around our own product with a couple of partners, but our own product, and we think it's going to be strong. So we've significantly invested in our Peaks campaign.
And where do you run that? Is that like print or online or TV, or what will you do?
There's both. I've not done TV. Don't think we're quite at that size, although we could do Sky. But certainly some print to new audiences, digital to our existing audience, and to the B2B audience as well. We may do some 48 sheets, we may do some radio. It's kind of all in the plan, but we're optimistic for Peaks, so therefore we're investing on that on that basis.
Which is fantastic to hear, because I think there does seem to be two camps at the minute. There's some people are quite cautious, others are going, no, we're going for it. So that is really good to hear. And before I let you go, you're still ABTA chairman. Are you finding time to fit that in with all this? I know it's only been 3 months, but are you still finding time to devote to that role?
Yeah, I actually more so in that time was always my key issue, really, with lots of competing factions and businesses and stuff. So the ability to run a travel business, as I always wanted to do, does allow me the time to work with Mark and the team at ABTA in really challenging times. So yeah, delighted to support ABTA. Just a view about lockdown. I've been ABTA chairman now since I think June of last year, so getting on for 18 months. I've not chaired a meeting in the ABTA offices yet. That just shows how it's been an emergency centre for all kind of failures and all sorts of stuff. But no, I'm big fan of ABTA and what it does. Delighted to see.
And have you been quite proud of the work they've done through this period? Because a lot of it we know about. I suspect a lot of it is behind the scenes that we don't get to hear about. So, but I imagine you've been very core to that.
Yeah, and if anything, I'd upweight the the lobbying work that ABTA do, because I think it's really good. We just don't talk about it a lot, but in general, I think the fact that people still see the ABTA badge as standing for protection and strength and trust, says everything about it. And I've been very proud of the work that the team in ABTA have achieved right since the Thomas Cook failure, to be honest, Lucy.
Yeah. Oh, it's been a absolutely extraordinary 18 months or so for the industry, hasn't it, and for ABTA. Oh God, someone's ringing me. Oh, that's never happened before. Got rid of them. Sorry about that. Okay, well, listen, I think we were just at time anyway, Alistair. It's fantastic to see you and great to hear that things are going so well. And you've obviously got some great plans for next year, which we'll be very excited to see come to fruition, and we'll be happy to support them as and when they do.
Lovely, yeah. So for all your agents and small tour operators, the business is there. You just have to go and search for it. Right product, right place, right audience. And that's what we're cautiously finding so far in this new journey at Blue Bay.
So your message is for people to stay positive, because we've come a long way. We've come a long way, but we are seeing light at the end of the tunnel.
Definitely so, Lucy. Yeah, I think so if there's one thing, social marketing, that's a winner. Find your audience and play to your audience.
All right, great advice and lovely to see you. Thanks very much to Alistair, the CEO of Blue Bay Travel.